It's enough, I think. It's enough, I think.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Green Live Stream. I am your host, Edie Arndell, and welcome. I'm here with Scott Free. Scott, can you take it from here? I'm getting the echo again. So.
Oh yeah, no. How's everybody doing out there? And thanks for joining us. And also, if you join us later, if you check us out, not live, we appreciate everybody who comes to check us out.
So we're here with Liz Rupel from Illinois Stewardship Alliance and LaShawn Miller from the same place, but she's also got the Finding Justice Garden. Can't wait to hear all about that.
Yes.
So how are you all doing tonight?
Excellent. In good company.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Illinois Stewardship Alliance, that's a mouthful. So what does that mean?
It's a mouthful, and it's over 50 years old now. So
Wow.
Yeah, I can dive into history later. We actually started in 1974, but our organization is a membership-based, nonpartisan, statewide alliance of farmers and eaters and food system leaders. We are working to empower and transform the local food and farm system to be more just and regenerative. We feel that we have this food and farm system that doesn't serve us, the planet, or the people involved. So we strive to organize our members to develop some solutions, educate policymakers, and inspire a growing movement of local farm and food champions. And we do that because we feel that our system is dominated by a lot of corporate interests, and that's at the expense of farmers and communities and the environment. So we know we won't ever have the amount of money to combat that. So what we really try to do is to use people power to transform it by developing those leaders and building some collective power, thinking through solutions together. And ultimately, we try to work up to that more resilient, just local food and farm system. Mouthful of an answer, but
Yes.
I recently attended one of your meetings, and I liked the focus on justice.
Yeah, that is
really
interesting that you.
That got me. So, LaShawn, did you want to talk a little bit about your Finding Justice Garden or anything else?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about all the things. I have a farm business, an urban farm business. It's called Finding Justice, a flower and vegetable garden. We grow in the city of Chicago, Austin, West Garfield Park, and North Lawndale. So we grow to bring healing to our community. We live and work in food deserts. So we created an access point, an education program to teach people how to eat for purpose and to combat diet-related illnesses and to teach children about food sovereignty. Again, I also work as a policy organizer for the Illinois Stewardship Alliance, which is a wonderful role because it now deals with the policy work for farmers throughout the state of Illinois. So I get to do the work and then fight for the cause. So it's like a perfect marriage of the two.
Nice. Excellent.
So I was going to ask you about the cuts to the Illinois Eats program and how that's affecting, farmers and everyone.
Yes. Yes, it affected us all. Working with the Illinois Stewardship Alliance, I was able to speak to more farmers throughout the state of Illinois, and the echo was loud and sound that it was a great program, and now that it's gone, we'll miss it. My own personal experience with the Illinois Eats program is that it was great. It was steady income. They said that they wanted to pay a certain price a week, and then you would deliver to a food bank. So if you don't know what the Illinois Eats program fundamentally was, we have farmers who produce food, and then we have food banks that need food. And so it was difficult to get fresh local food to a food bank. So this program was birthed where they created kind of a middleman that they called a lead agency who would act as a broker between the local food farmer and the food pantry. So in the middle, these lead agencies, they were either, food depositories or bigger organizations that have been around for a while, or you had some farmers that kind of stepped up into the role as aggregator. And what that word means is that, like, if I was a farmer and I have friends that are farmers that are nearby, we collected all of our food together so that we would have enough to give to the food pantry. So it was working. It was great. Local farmers knew that, if they said they'd pay us $1,000 a week for X amount of produce, we knew that we had income weekly. So there were MOUs that were signed. We had a contract for the end of September 2025. So everything was great. We were delivering food. Everyone was happy. At the food pantries, the people were excited and, they couldn't believe that there were fresh produce because historically, what I found is that they get a lot of wasted food. Like if a grocery store, it's spoiling on the counters, like then maybe you can pick through these strawberries and get what you need out of it. So, they were very grateful, very happy. The community loved it. So with the funding cuts, it happened around like March or April. We'll just say it was like a March 3rd. We got a letter that said, we are not paying any invoices from January 20th until now. So food had been produced, food had been harvested, food had been delivered, invoices were out. And they literally said, you have like 2 or 3 months worth of invoices that we are not paying anymore. So this was scary, right? At that point, it was very scary. Generally, one might think that from January to March, there's not a lot of food growing. So it really affected meat producers really hard because their operation is, it's not as seasonal as a vegetable or specialty crop grower. But again, the food was delivered. So I had outstanding invoices. And luckily, my lead agency was a bigger institution, food depository, that was able to have a cushion in the bank to pay my invoices and allow for the time to, get the money to get reimbursed. But at that time, they didn't know if they would be able to get reimbursed. So they were able to take the loss, but some of those smaller farmers that stepped into that aggregator role could not. So it was either the farmer didn't get paid or the lead agency didn't get paid. So it was hard at that point. So as a policy organizer, we organized and all of our voices were loud and clear that this was unacceptable. So we advocated, we went to Springfield, we did all the things, and they were like, okay, we'll pay the invoices. So that was like a small win, right? But
Nice.
Then you have to take into consideration, now, what about all of the small farmers that have paid money for seeds and have planted these crops? Just because they're not sold at this time doesn't mean they're not growing at this time. And a lot of farmers have made great investments on seeds and scaling up their operations so that they could sell larger volumes to this program. So those voices were organized. We have already put a lot of investment in this. The food is in the ground. If we can't sell it into the Illinois Eats, where is it going to go? It's too much. I can't sell all of these tomatoes. It was never in my plan before I had a contract that said that you would buy it. So again, we advocated, we sent letters, we did all the things. And then they were like, okay. We'll put the contracts until June the 30th. Now, for anyone that grows food, after June is when most of the harvest begins, right? We're heavy harvesting in August and September, maybe October, depending on the weather. So it still was very, we were grateful to have had our invoices paid that you said you weren't going to pay. We were grateful to have a little window of harvest and pay for, but most of our harvest and the bulk of our harvests are in the months after. So we did it again, right? Advocating. And they said, okay, we'll finally get to the end of this contract. September 30th, which was yesterday, was the last day for the Illinois Eats program. And what it showed was that this program was needed. They paid a fair price for a farmer. Normally, if we are selling at larger volumes, we sell to wholesalers who give a very low rate. So like, for example, the Illinois Eats was paying, and we'll just say like $7 for a pint of cherry tomatoes. If I have to sell that at a farmer's market, I may or may not get $5 for, depending on the market. And then a wholesaler will do less than that. And in my community, I am in a low income community, so I could never sell at those prices.
Right.
So I'm sitting at like $2 for a pint of cherry tomatoes. So that $5 gap between my low price market and their price was instrumental, right? It allowed me to actually pay people to help me harvest, where generally it's just me. And a lot of people and the local food farmer caucus that I organized for, those were the stories that we heard, that, these prices, we got a glimpse of sustainability, like a little bit, and it was hopeful. We knew that the program was temporary, but we also saw the great impact that it made, so much so that there is a lot of conversations about creating a similar program with a different name.
Yes, thank you for that explanation.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I didn't know all of that, but my question is, what was their reasoning for cutting the program? Did they tell you?
Liz, do you want to take that one, or you want me to answer it?
The reason
I don't know
for
if
yeah, I mean, LaShawn, feel free to chime in, but just more or less like maybe, deprioritization of the local food and farm programs. And LaShawn, if there's anything else you want to add, I think we saw, some massive shifts in some of with just programs in general, as far as conservation, local food assistance. And the Illinois Eats was one of those that I think were on the block, up for discussion. And unfortunately, that's, LaShawn got that letter in March. Thankfully, things changed and farmers were paid. But LaShawn, if there's anything else you want to add to that.
Yeah, I just think that they were looking for money. And this program looked like a big pot of money that was seizable. So, I don't think that they anticipated as much uproar from us to keep it. Like, I don't really think that people quite understood the impact that it was making and like how needed that program was until they started to hear our stories.
And do you feel like now you're going to be living in a crisis mode, or do you feel like maybe things are going to be stable in the future? Do you feel like you had enough of an impact that this won't be happening again, or what's your opinions?
I can't say that I quite understand the question. Do you mean like with regard to the income?
Yeah, just the surprise email saying, okay, we're not doing this.
Oh.
I mean, do you think that's going to happen again? Do you think?
Well, I'm glad that you asked that question, because that is a part of it, right? If we go back to the story that I told, when we got that first notification that, we're ending it on June the 30th, then it came back like, okay, we will allow it until September 30th. A lot of lead agencies didn't want any parts of it because they did not understand or know if this would happen again, where they give the money and say, we're not paying, and they didn't want to be bothered. It was scary when they said that we're not paying any of the invoices, and that short period of time seemed like a very long time to not have the money to pay your farmers or to recoup the money for the lead agency that was in place. So some of those lead agencies, went bankrupt and stepped out of it because they couldn't afford, there's no guarantee that I will be reimbursed, or I didn't pay the farmers and now they're either, bankrupt themselves. It just left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And it's unfortunate because the food, again, was serving a population that doesn't otherwise get those resources. So yes, the uncertainty is out there now, right? So it's like, if you do create a program like that, will we have the same sorts of problems? We don't know. So it would just be up to the entities to, flip the coin. Is this something I'm going to do or not?
Wow.
Well, I'm not surprised that they try to cut people that are of lesser means, because that's what they usually do. And I'm sure we could find lots and lots of other things in the budget that don't deserve to be there.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
supplying food to food banks and helping local farmers feels like that should definitely remain.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that and maybe write something, and I might put it on my website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
This
Because
was a
Edie's running for lieutenant governor. That's the website she's referring to.
Edie for Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, this was an incredible program. I think LaShawn's experience, thank you for sharing that story, LaShawn. It really helped farmers scale up. And at the Alliance, we see that Illinois can feed Illinois. I don't know, Scott, Edie, if you guys know, but we import a lot of food. Over 90% of our food is imported. And we have the ability, LaShawn has the ability, if with some support, infrastructural support, to help feed communities. But that, I think, is where the breakdown is and where the bridge isn't being built to help farmers succeed in our world. We don't have to purchase from out of state. We have so many farmers here that are willing and wanting to scale up, and this program helped them do that. Wow. And it did have a deadline to it. There was a stop date, but what LaShawn highlighted is we would love to see something like this included in the Farm Bill whenever that is going to take place. But we would love to see, a program like this and more investment of local food. We've seen so many success stories that is, turning farmers' thoughts of this isn't working to, wow, this is really great when we invest in farmers. Like the Illinois Eats program, or a few years ago, the Stewardship Alliance worked on the local food infrastructure grant. LFIG is what we like to call it. And that provided farmers with at least 19 different farms, from processing facilities to granaries to local farms all throughout the state with, small investments. It was a pot of $2 million that we were able to distribute. And that helped farmers get a little leg up to scale up. I think we have a beautiful history in Illinois of farmers feeding our state, but there's just been so much divestment and consolidation, and the result is more imports, less healthy and nutritious food getting onto the tables. But when we prioritize farmers like LaShawn, like others, then we can not only support farmers but ensure that our communities have that access to healthy food.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I was just going to say, I live in Carbondale, Illinois, and I don't know the details about what happened, but here's what I noticed. We had a community garden. Apparently it had been there for a long time. I believe the person that owned the land decided they didn't want it anymore. So don't quote me on that part, but all I know is it was there and now it's gone. Mm-hmm. And it was in the part of our city that is a food desert, and a lot of homeless people, I think, probably relied on it. Just level to the ground, nothing left. Yeah.
And I
saw that and I was in shock.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens more than you might think. I also want to highlight the fact that most farmers have an off-farm job. Mm-hmm. So this job is not how we pay for rent or mortgages or, any bills. So all of us are working a 9 to 5 job and then doing this as a passion of our heart to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So, we're doubling up, like we're working. I get up, a typical day for me is I'll wake up with the sun. I'm outside at 5:30 in the morning. Then I have to stop, do work, and then I go back in the evenings. So I'm working literally from 5 a.m. to dark. Luckily, dark now is like 7:30, but here we are working some more because the work is important, right?
Yeah.
So that could be a reason why they're disappearing, is we don't have the funding to keep them alive. And if we have to work and do this, a lot of us are burnt out.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you get your community involved? I mean, do you have people that come in and volunteer and help, or no?
That is a great question. So as I talked about how I have to work and do this, how many more hours are left for community outreach? Not many.
Right.
So I would say that consistency has been on my side. The neighbors see me out there all the time. And then because they see me, I'm familiar. Now I'm approachable. So they come and they ask questions. I invite them in and we have conversations about getting connected to your food source. We offer food as medicine boxes. So we are talking about health and how it's related to food. All of the things, building those relationships. We have interns that come in from schools that are in the neighborhood. And social media posts. Like we try to do that. I have the interns do it. I don't have the time. I'm kind of older. That wasn't my thing. So the young ones do most of the social media stuff, but that has drawn a lot of community engagement. I'm going to get a new set of interns very soon, and we are actually going to go old school, knocking door to door, flyers under the windshield, just to get people to know that we exist, know that we are here, and this is for them.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that's
Excellent.
knocking doors is hard work as well.
Wow.
I've done
It
that
is.
too.
It is.
Yeah. Sounds like it's
It
all
is.
hard work.
We'll make it fun. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's why also LaShawn makes a great organizer, because it's directly related to the work of getting out into the field and meeting farmers face to face, the relational organizing that we hold near and dear to our hearts at the Alliance. Because if we aren't talking to farmers about what the problems are, we don't know what we should be working on. And what we do at the Alliance is like fully steered by farmers throughout the state and helping us decide what path is the best path and is going to make a big impact.
Absolutely. So I did want to ask you about the soil health. And I don't know if anyone remembers. I'm sure Scott does. I don't remember what month it was when we had all those tornadoes that happened. It seemed like it went past spring, if I remember right, because I had 5 tornado warnings down here. However, one of them was this huge dust storm, and it caused this pile up on the highway because whoever owned this field or fields didn't have any kind of cover crops, so the dirt just went into the air.
Well, I had heard that it was climate change related, but I'm not going to have the right details. And I'm in Chicago, so LaShawn, you probably remember. I'm trying to remember what day it was, but yeah, it was the most bizarre thing. We had a dust storm in Chicago, and yeah.
That blew in from Bloomington. LaShawn, do you want me to take it first and then you share just how it felt being in Chicago when that rolled in?
Yeah.
Well, maybe Liz, you can talk about what you know about it, and then you can talk about Chicago. Liz or LaShawn, you can talk about Chicago.
Yeah. So I've been at the Alliance for nearly 10 years. I started in 2016. And in my experience at the Alliance, we have had 3 dust storms in Illinois. And it's because, it's a perfect mix of weather, farmers doing what they have to do in the field, and really dry conditions. And like you mentioned, Edie, just there isn't anything like holding the soil in place. Farmers are using tillage practices, which depending on who you talk to, like some agree, some might not, some see it as a necessary tool, some see it as not being conservation minded. So really depends on who you're talking to about that. But I know that a lot of these scenarios have taken place along like the I-55. And when you mix all of those conditions with really windy weather, it is likely going to create a dust storm. So I think maybe it was I'm going to get it wrong, 2018 or 19, we had one just a few years ago. There was another dust storm and those two caused fatalities on the highway. Drivers not knowing what, if you can imagine, it was tragic. And then again, just this past year with the dust storm that did roll into Chicago, which is crazy. But like I said, I think there are farms that have really prioritized getting the maximum amount of space and value on their fields. So it's called like farming fence row to fence row. So we're going to take out all the trees that maybe help block the wind in the first place, because we see that as yields that can be gained on the field. And, farming is a huge risk, as LaShawn can highlight. Like, it is really a risky endeavor to go out to buy seeds, to plant seeds, and to hope that you get the rain and everything, all the conditions are right to grow it. And then you mix in like adding conservation tools to that, something that we really value at the Alliance. We really want to see those cover crops, which are planted in the fall and give you that, like, if you're driving around on the highway and you see luscious green crops throughout the winter, they have cover crops. And so we value tools like that. We value windrows, any like conservation method that really helps to keep that soil in place. So when it's super windy or when we get a huge rainfall event, the soil is staying in place. It's not running off of the fields. It's not blowing into Chicago. It's not causing tragic accidents. But some of the farms are doing what they have to do to till and to plant. And when that gets mixed with those windy conditions, they can't always predict that that's going to happen. And it can result in some tragic accidents. And to LaShawn not being able to breathe when she's out in the field at finding justice. So conservation is a huge, huge tool that can help prevent these dust storms from happening. We heard that back when the Dust Bowl happened. That's why soil and water conservation districts started, was because FDR had a speck of soil fall onto his desk. I may be exaggerating that story, but that's why they started, is to help us conserve our resources. And so we're just kind of repeating history. But, that was that was nearly 100 years ago. And now we've had 3 dust storms in the past 10 years, maybe even more, but 3 that have been very significant, newsworthy dust storms.
Yeah. Right.
But LaShawn,
I was just going to say, in planting a cover crop also keeps the topsoil there, which is the best soil. I don't know if I'm right about that. Also keeps the water. It seems like it's just good for everything. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. And it's wild to see. If you look at some pictures from, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and to today, to see the amount of topsoil that's lost. Our friends at American Farmland Trust have a good statistic of how many tons of soil that we lose every year. Their big slogan is no farms, no food, no farms, no beer. But we need that topsoil to create, rich crops, nutritious crops. But and it's also seen as dollar signs. You don't want to lose topsoil. That is money that is just running off of your fields and what you need to grow your crops. So investing in ways to help protect that is definitely what's needed. That's why we really need conservation programs to be funded federally and at the state level to help farmers. How we talked about investing in local food, we also need those investments for conservation to help farmers implement those tools. because it
Because
benefits
if
them
if you're
and it
struggling
benefits
to
us.
survive, how are you supposed to like do that on top of it? You know, you need help to make it sustainable for your budget, for your household.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
go ahead, LaShawn. What was it like in
Yeah, I was
Chicago?
talking. It was crazy. So I can recall I was telling Liz the story. I remember I was outside working per usual, but like I was sneezing a lot and coughing, and that isn't even, I don't suffer from allergies anymore. So I was confused, right? And so it happened for like a couple of days. And then I can remember looking in the sky one day, right? And it was like an orange, yellow color, the sky was. And then I thought, because I've never been in a dust storm before, right? I thought, I look at the sky and I'm like, what kind of clouds are these? Like I'm outside every day. I look at the sky every day and I've never seen clouds like this before. And then someone's like, there's a dust storm going on. That's dust. And I'm like, what kind of dust? It's coming here like this. So yeah, it was real. And I didn't know until, I learned about it while working with the Illinois Stewardship Alliance. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And my little knowledge in climate change, I did hear when it was happening that the massive winds, just, like we have massive rain amounts. I think those things are all increasing with climate change. I mean, I can't speak to, we live in the Windy City, but so I was at a club, musician, and the awning blew off of the club when we were playing. And we stepped outside. Yeah, it hit you in the face, all this dust and wind hitting you. So it was, a wild night. But I do think that climate change is one of those things where we're seeing the strange effects, things that you wouldn't have thought of. Edie and I talked about, in with Hurricane Helene, that now who would have thought when you were, young, that, maybe a house by a river is not a good idea, right? We didn't think in those terms, So, things are changing in a really, really bad way. And actually, maybe this segues to a question I wanted to ask is, how is climate change affecting farmers just in general in Illinois?
Yeah. Great question. I'll tell you how it's affecting me. So I can notice, again, I work outside in all of the seasons. And I am noticing, the way I explain it is like there's a shift in our temperatures, right? It used to start to get warmer later in the year, but we were experiencing 80 and 90 degrees like before June, which was unseasonal, right? And so the weather does very much affect the growth of crops. Like I don't grow beans anymore because they like cool weather in the start, and it was just never really cool enough, because I have seen like in the past 2 years that we're experiencing like extreme heat for like a week, and then it gets cold. So it's like maybe 100 degrees for a week. And then now we're down to the 60s. So this extreme heat and then cooler weather back and forth and back and forth. The plants are like, what is going on? What season am I in? I have seen dandelions popping up. We all know that dandelions are like the first spring flower. Why are you showing up in the middle of summer? Because we've had a couple of weeks where it's been cooler than normal. So it's becoming pretty unpredictable about, what will grow and what won't grow. And we all know that some crops like cool weather and some like very hot weather. But if you're getting, if it's inconsistent with the heat and the cool and we're flip-flopping, how do you deal with that? Like it's a question, and it's all learning, it's a learning curve. My cucumbers didn't do the greatest, because they can't tolerate temperatures under 50 degrees. And like some of our nights were 50 degrees in the summer. So, you have to take measures to cover crops and keep them warm. So just making those adjustments, but it is very obvious that our seasons are, it's 80 degrees and it's October. That was never a thing when I was a child.
Right. It got to 90 today.
Oh, 86 down here. I was curious. 86 down here in Carbondale.
Yeah. So,
and then we
it
had
has
a bunch of
extended our
rain and then it
seasons.
stopped too. Like a whole bunch of rain and then nothing.
You're right. I think like September was a good month with rain. I hardly had to water it. Mother Nature was doing the hard work. And then actually, maybe it was the month before, because you're right, these last couple of weeks, not a drop of rain. So I've been out there like, did I water today? And I never had to think about it before, because I check the weather every day and I'm like, oh, it's going to rain off and on, off and on. That's enough for the plants. But like these last couple of weeks, it's like, okay, I have to get out there. I have to get out there. I have to get out there.
Yeah. Yeah. If it was a very wet August, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But September
Yeah,
was really dry.
Very. It's still very hot. When I was a kid, I was born and raised in Southern Indiana. When I was a kid, I used to kids have different priorities than growing food, right? Well, we'd have the fall festival first week of October, and I was always praying it would stay warm until the fall festival, and it never did. It starts in a couple of days, and it's still hot.
Yeah.
So I got my wish, but can I take it back now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's been wild to kind of watch the changes happen. I mean, LaShawn was, and many other farmers were kind of experiencing those different zones and like, what should I plant now? And all of those shifts. But I think it was last year maybe that they finally, like the USDA actually changed the agriculture zones to meet where we're at temperature wise.
Wow.
So like we're seeing extreme flooding, rain, droughts, all of this, and like our whole agriculture zones are shifting. I never thought I would experience that in my lifetime. So 3 dust storms and agriculture zone shift, like what else can we add on? But
you wait and see.
Yeah, that's the scary part. I read the post on Twitter. I mean, I read the post from the scientists on Twitter, and I mean, this stuff is so scary that I know right now I think we're laughing about these little things, but oh my God.
And two, just how we were talking about cover crops, like we have a few farmers on the team, and another farmer is our colleague Ed with Duchick Ranch in Cisna Park, and he plants cover crops, and he's just told us that like we know that there's a drought impacting the state, and he was hitting on the fact of not only are wheat farmers unsure of their crop this year, like when to plant. If I plant it, I hope like the rain comes and it actually grows and germinates. But also, like we're really hoping that farmers can plant cover crops this year, which now in the next couple months or so, depending on the weather, that's when you plant your fall cover crop after you harvest. And then, like I said, it grows in the winter, and you see those luscious green, and it keeps your soil in place. But with the drought, who knows if those seeds are going to actually germinate? So farmers are kind of holding back with even planting their cover crops right now until we actually see some moisture coming our way. So it's all encompassing. Like we're seeing those shifts, and then it's leading to farmers having to make some really tough choices of what's to come.
Which will end up having food be more expensive on our plate or not available at all. We did have a question.
Yeah.
Yvonne Scott says, who is the Illinois Secretary of Ag, and what is your relationship like with them?
Yeah. I think she might mean the Director of Agriculture, and that is Director Jerry Costello, and we work really closely with the Department of Agriculture. Actually, the program I mentioned, the Local Food Infrastructure Grant, we used to run that program, and now we're really excited because the Department of Agriculture is taking that over, and they will, things will start to roll out with that program soon. But we have a very close relationship, working together, on a lot of issues, and especially on that program, and really excited that they see the value in keeping that program going.
Yeah, I would think the state needs to do more to like ensure we have food. I mean, seems pretty basic to me.
Yeah. No, and I have to give it to the Department of Ag. They have been kicking butt with, not only like, I think they're really involved in Illinois Eats. They've been involved in a lot of these federal programs and how they impact farmers. They have a great local food initiative. They're kicking off their Illinois Grown program, which used to be Buy Fresh, Buy Local. And now they're ramping up this new Illinois Grown program for producers here in the state. So they run a farmers market here in Springfield where I live. So I think they're doing a lot to assist farmers and pay attention to the real issues and how they're impacting producers throughout the state.
Good. So the problem is not there. It's funding from higher up. That's what you're saying. Like making sure everything gets funded.
Yeah. I mean, funding is always going to be such a tough, we're in a government shutdown as we speak.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
So funding is tough. Everybody needs funding. And everything that we want to do is likely related to some kind of funding source. And a lot of what we work on at the Alliance is, where'd I go? Am I back?
Yeah. Could you just repeat what you just said, Liz?
Yeah, I think I was saying just funding is a really
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she broke up again.
Yeah.
LaShawn, you want to jump in?
Yeah, we'll always need funding. Yeah, I was going to just add that we will always need funding. Nothing is free. So, it's always a question of where does this money come from? How can we create the resources, the funding channels for, the projects that can make this world a better place?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Yes. And I would argue that the money is there, but they spend it on the wrong things.
Yeah.
And we won't get into that
would
because
love
this
to
is
see
a non-partisan discussion. So, yeah.
No, I mean, like we said, local food and conservation and an Illinois where Illinois can feed Illinois is what we want to see. And that will take more. It's going to take the organizing and the people power to help legislators and everyone know why funding and prioritizing those things are really, really important. It's not only beneficial to a farmer, but like it is beneficial to the environment, to the communities that farmers serve. It's just a ripple effect of really good things. And like we want clean air, clean water, really healthy, nutritious food. And to do that, we have to support those that are in the field growing the food that we rely on, and the environment that we rely on for clean water that doesn't have nutrients running throughout it, and clean air to breathe.
Yeah, absolutely. I did recently discover that you know how it's like you're trying to figure out something, so you just start going to look up facts, right? Illinois' GDP was $1.14 trillion in 2024. And if you broke that down to every person that lives here, that's $95,000 a year. Well, that's not how it works. Our poverty rate is 11.9%, which I think that breaks down to like how many people was that? I had it a while ago. I don't remember the number now. Too many numbers, but 11.9%. Yeah. And we have 12.8 million people. So I think it's around 15,000 people are living in poverty. Might be higher.
Yeah.
No, it is higher. It's 1.5 million. Sorry. There we go. Yep. So yeah, math was not my strong suit, but that's what the calculator is for, and people that know it better than me. And so what does it mean to live at or below the poverty line? That's about $12,000 a year, $1,000 a month to live on in this economy. Are you kidding?
How are we doing it?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the stats that we share too is just with the impact of food deserts, 1 in 5 kids don't know where their next meal is going to come from. I know you said that you lived in Carbondale, and our colleague Nathan is down in Golconda, and he his community is in a food desert. He produces local food for his community, but he's told us stories of milk being delivered to the grocery store in his area, basically like not having enough milk to come down to Golconda. If they run out, then Golconda just doesn't have milk delivered to their communities. Like, and that's, you know, that's not to say that that whole area is in a poverty-stricken area, but it's a food desert, and there's ripple effects to how that impacts folks. But to your point, I don't understand how folks are surviving on that, and even finding the food that can meet the values that they want. And that's what we really want to see at the Stewardship Alliance, is creating and changing that system and transforming it so we can seek out that food that aligns with our values. Because right now, I know that there are so many people struggling to be able to do that.
You know, if I could tell my little food desert story, although it happened before I think the term food desert was around, or at least my familiarity with it. I was living on the west side by the United Center, and the Democratic Party was going to have their convention, and this was 92, 96 or something like that. And so there's the one main road going from downtown to the United Center, and on that block where I lived, there was a corner of stores. The corner was a liquor store. Guys would hang out there. The Democratic Party didn't like it. They razed the entire group of buildings, one of which was a small grocery store. And across the street was a huge retirement center, living center. And they had nowhere to go after that. And I didn't, you know, again, the term food desert, I was not aware of it yet. But it was scary. I thought, what are these people going to do? How are they going to, you know? And I'm becoming more familiar with all the politics around what creates a food desert. And maybe LaShawn, you could speak to that too, being a Chicagoan, because it does seem like it's a nightmare scenario that sounds like it happens quite often.
Yeah, there's a new term out now called food apartheid.
Oh.
And in essence, yeah, look it up. It's good read if you want to learn more. But yeah, it's systemic, right? A lot of grocery stores have left. They have their reasons for leaving the low income areas, right? You know, they'll chalk it up to like theft, but that is not the answer. And they're gone and they're never replaced. So over time, you know, they leave one by one by one, and there isn't a replacement. Again, that's why I started my business, because you couldn't buy produce anywhere but a gas station or a local corner store is what we call them. And it's past its eatable age, right? It's not ripe. It's overripe.
Yeah.
And it's overpriced. And we are inflicted with diet-related illnesses because we are not eating vegetables. So you have seen that in the urban setting, there are a lot of people growing food because of that. Like, that is the catalyst for us to begin to, you know, work for ourselves, you know, feed ourselves, because we're just not getting the funding in these neighborhoods to do better, you know. We're asking, where does the money come from? And if it magically appears, like, how do we get it in our food system? But until then, you know, neighborhoods are, you know, trying to feed themselves, you know, doing the best that they can with what they have. And there are some amazing and incredible stories that I've heard throughout the state of Illinois while working with the Illinois Stewardship Alliance, you know, and it's very similar origin stories. Like, there's not a grocery store here. Where do we get our food? Let's grow it ourselves.
Yeah, we had somebody in the comments, Amanda Marie Brinkley, say we need to consider as much organic food in the United States and the world as possible. And edible gardens and yards and lawns, front yards should be allowed everywhere, encouraged even. Is that not legal? I don't know.
Yeah, no, certainly culturally. I mean, I grew up in the suburbs with the, you know, perfect green lawn and all that crap. That's like,
I think grass is a waste of time, personally.
it was so weird.
Cut that stuff.
And
there's some cool legislation that we've worked on, in the Chicago area, Elmhurst, a a woman could not have like a season extender in her backyard to grow produce for herself, her family. And that resulted in this law called the Right to Garden Act, because her municipality was not super happy with her having that season extender. So we've seen some change like that, but we've also heard of, folks wanting to plant what they want in their front yard, but maybe their municipality or whoever is zoning them and controlling, making the rules isn't happy, doesn't see it as neat and tidy like a mowed lawn could look. So I know that we work in coalition with a lot of incredible partners, and some laws have been passed to help ensure that, you have that right to do that, but sometimes you can't supersede what those municipalities want you to do. And so I think folks are having to make decisions on what they're able to plant. But I love that idea of an edible garden as you're walking by. And one of our members, Tim Sonder, who is in the Evanston, he works with Edible Evanston, and they have a edible food forest. So there are really neat things like that throughout the state that definitely align with what she's wanting to see.
And if I can
I was just going to say, is there somewhere that people, like a map or something on your site that kind of says like where all those things are?
We're getting a new website, so that'd be kind of cool to have.
They can volunteer, they could come help, or go ahead, LaShawn. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say that the Community Food Navigator is an organization that has mapped some of the Chicago BIPOC farms. And there are other organizations that are out here doing mapping so that you can find, there's several organizations that are like either in the beginning stages or they have some. But ultimately, I would hope to see that there's just one map that everyone has access to. So we don't have to know who's doing the work before we can get the information that we need.
And, I just wanted to add a quick story. Actually, our guest next week, her name is Liddell, and she does grow gardens, and she does it for Black Panther Cubs, which is the new Black Panther organization in Chicago. And sure enough, the municipality of Maywood came and ripped up her garden.
No.
So, unfortunately, that kind of stuff is still seems to be a battle. It's bizarre. Really? Governments, that's what you're spending your time doing? Ripping up gardens?
You don't pay
That's
them
here in
enough.
Illinois.
There's not
in
enough
Maywood,
jobs.
Maywood,
Chicago,
Illinois. I'm sorry
yeah.
if I didn't say it. Maywood, Illinois, just west of Chicago.
Sounds like
minimum wage is not enough to afford to live, and you create food deserts, and then you get mad when people want to grow food and even give it away. What is happening? Somebody needs to look into that. Oh wait, I guess it's me.
I think that's something we can maybe help tackle. We also work with really great organizations like the Advocates for Urban Agriculture, Chicago Food Policy, Action Council. There's so many incredible voices here in the state that care about exactly that and don't want to see that happen. So, there are some resources to maybe reach out to that.
Okay,
we can try to prevent that from happening in the future, because that's devastating.
It was horrible. Bizarre.
So we went this whole time, but we didn't talk about your harvest celebration fundraising dinner on October 12th.
Oh.
Ooh. Yeah. Come hang out with us in Petersburg, Illinois. We will be at the Indian Creek Farmstead. It is a beautiful little picturesque farm in Petersburg. It has a lot of agritourism, great activities for kids, a big, beautiful barn that we will host a delicious meal together, which Proud Richards, a local restaurant sourcing local, will be providing the menu for us that evening. They're located in Jacksonville. So it's an awesome event, raising money for a great organization, in my opinion. And we'll have great food, good community, and some pretty cool music too. So a live band will be there, the Wolf Creek Boys.
Oh, there you go.
And most of the team will be there. I'm really excited. So if you wanted to meet most of our team members, LaShawn's going to come hang out. I'll be there. Yeah, there'll be a lot of great people to come and mix and mingle with.
And it's my birthday celebration too, by the way.
Oh, well, happy early birthday, Scott.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's gonna be 29
Every time
again.
we'll have a cupcake
Yeah.
for you.
Okay, there you go.
I'll bring you a cupcake if you show
All
up.
right. Okay.
With-
All
with
right.
your name in it.
That sounds like a fun birthday, actually. Now, that would be really fun. I may
I think it would.
Yeah.
Okay.
LaShawn is the sweetest and calls on birthdays. And if maybe you don't pick up, she leaves a voicemail and sings you happy birthday.
There you
So
go. All right.
You gotta
And
celebrate
today-
them, you know?
Yes. Yes.
Today is somebody from the Green Party's birthday, Anna
Yes,
Schieffel's
Anna.
fine. Happy birthday, Anna.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Anna.
birthday.
Right.
Yeah. I put the ilstewards.org/harvest in the chat. I didn't actually
And-
get to though, so
And LaShawn, can you give us social media info on Finding Justice Garden? Where can people find more about it?
Yeah, so social media tags are Finding Justice Garden, and we're on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, all the things. And then the website is findingjusticegarden.com, and there's more information online there. Anyone that is nearby can order online and pick up on the farm.
Nice. Okay.
Nice.
You may be hearing from me.
Oh, good. I got a birthday
this.
song with your name on it,
Oh, right.
October the 12th. So.
cupcake on top. Yeah.
Yep. There was the
Well, we're
woman
creating our
that,
own community right here, right?
Yeah,
for
there you
sure.
go.
Yeah, there was a woman who came today to volunteer, and I gave her a birthday bell pepper.
Oh, nice. Nice.
that's the best.
Yeah, she harvested and was like, "This is the biggest bell pepper I've ever seen." I said,
Nice.
"And now it's your birthday present."
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great.
Well, I'm going to put all this in the chat. I had to borrow the banner I made to make sure I got it right. So,
Thank you.
yeah, and it's been a pleasure having you all. Let's see if I can
Yeah.
add banner.
Thank
Okay.
you so much for hosting us and
Yes.
letting us share a little bit more about what we love to do in the office and out of the office and what we're passionate about. If any of your viewers are interested in joining you, Edie, as a member, they can head over to that website, www.ilstewards.org. We love to meet them and hear what they care about.
Yeah.
And to add, if there are any farmers or local growers in the state of Illinois, find me. I would love to talk to you and get to know you better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. I'm having technical difficulties. Take it away, Scott. It's not.
Oh,
You. There it goes.
okay. All right. Well, I just want to thank everybody, thank our guests for being here, and everybody who stopped in to see our show. And yeah, please like, comment, subscribe to Green Live Stream. We I don't know, we're at 570 or so subscribers. So we're trying to, keep those numbers going up. So please tell folks about it. And yeah, we love to share the show everywhere. So you'll be seeing this on all the socials, as they say.
And even though this is Illinois, I'm thinking I'm going to share this out to my groups nationwide, because this could be replicated. These ideas can be replicated across the country. This is not just an Illinois problem.
Well, and also it's really not just an Illinois show. We really do have
Yeah.
a pretty national focus in the Green Party, because we have candidates running for office from all around the country. So yeah, it's a pretty national recognized show. So yeah, we'll be spreading it around everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Uh-oh, watch out.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
If you
Awesome.
guys
I
want to
would've
stay
put
on and
some
chat
lipstick.
afterwards, you're more than welcome. I'm sorry, LaShawn, go ahead.
No, I was just saying national. I wish I would have put on my lipstick.
Oh.
Right?
Next time. Next time.
There you go.
Well, thank you for being here. If y'all want to stay in the chat after, stay on screen after, that you're more than welcome. But we will see you on Saturday with our news of the week. Been a lot of news this week.
Yeah.
Hard to say what the show's going to look like.
Right.
But we'll see you at noon then. Take care,
Thanks,
everyone.
thanks everyone.
Thank you.
An uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising, fight the power. It's an uprising, fight the power.